for the job.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's H-On here, and welcome back to my channel. Okay, so this is probably going to be my final build for my Glory of the Gods Fire Templar Tactician Mercenary that I've been working on for the last month or so. My first two videos is kind of me going through the campaign and early mapping, but this is going to probably be my final iteration of this build. It is a tanky build that utilizes banners and glory mechanic to upkeep my damage and maximize my defenses. And this has been the most fun build I've played while playing Path of Exile 2 so far, and I think it's going to be kind of my league starter going on from here. So I also want to give everybody who's given me comments a shout out. Thank you guys. I've had like maybe 6 followers in the past week of people who are supporting me, and I really appreciate it. And I'm hoping to get streaming again here soon when my wife gets out of school. But I am super swamped at home, so that's kind of a thing that's on the back burner right now. But again, thank you guys for all your support, your comments, and your subscribes, and continue doing that because this is something I do want to do more often. And yeah, so again, thank you. So again, I'm going to run through everything here. I wanted to do a more of a breakdown, a better breakdown, because in the last couple of videos, I just gave you the gist of how the build worked, but you know how these things go. As you're going through the campaign and early mapping, your build changes quite a bit. So I didn't want to sit down and tell you guys about the support gems and the passives, because they changed so much since my last couple videos. So again, this is where we're going to start. We're going to go and break everything down. I'm going to have some gameplay here, and yeah, so let's have fun with this. First of all, let's go ahead and break into the skill gems here. We're going to start off at the top here with Black Powder Blitz. So this is the special skill that you get from the unique item. I can't remember what it's called. I'll bring it up here in just a second. This is a really nice unique skill because in order to generate glory for Ancestral Cry, we need to ignite everything. This always ignites. That is an amazing feature of this skill. Always ignites. And then we have that ignition spread to as many monsters on the field as possible to build up the glory mechanic for one of the other skills we're going to go into. To break it down, we have a cooldown recovery. We want to be able to pop this bad boy off as much as possible. Real quick, if you don't know, this Black Powder Blitz replaces your dodge roll with a long leap jump that blinds and explodes in the area, doing fire damage, like I said, blinding, and always ignites. So this is pretty nice, especially being in a tanky kind of build. Sometimes you just need to get the heck out of there, and this works really well. Not all the time though. I will say real quick, as a point of warning, if you're rocking this ability and you're going against that damn monkey in the forest with the big stone pillar, and if you panic jump at the wrong time and he starts swinging around and you have your cooldown not low enough, he will one-shot you. I have a pair of boots I keep on hand just to keep myself being able to regular dodge roll when I go against. There's only like 2 map bosses that this ability screws me up on. So I'm curious to see if anybody else has been having problems with that too. If you've been using this unique or not, let me know. Anyways, let's get back to the support gems. Cooldown. We want to be able to pop this bad boy as much as possible. Jump everywhere, ignite everything, so on and so forth. And then we have exposure. This isn't really a damaging ability, but I'm trying to apply the exposures for my other abilities to proc off of it. And Consecrated Ground with Holy Descent. This just adds to a little bit of life regen, and it's really nice that it procs when you land. So it's just kind of a nice little area you could stand in if you're trying to top yourself off. And then finally, I have Wildfire. Wildfire is essential for this unique skill because it is going to spread the ignite to more monsters on the field. thus powering up our Ancestral Cry. That's the gist of that. Let's move on to Forge Hammer now. Forge Hammer, I don't really use a mace too much. The mace that I have offhand is just to cast this ability, and it's not really to do the damage of the hit or the initial explosion. But when we're in Ancestral Cry mode, we stomp every time we take a step. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You see them kind of stomping, or walking around. Imagine all those little steps are stomps. Those stomps proc the fissure fire damage, and it has carried me through campaign, early mapping on its own with those two combination abilities. Sometimes I don't even need to attack. I just need to run around in the Forge Hammer fissures, and that is enough to just straight burn most bosses down. It's really cool. And I see a lot of people use this ability and they'll do like mace slam, what are they called, the shatter, so on and so forth, and they keep meleeing them, and that's cool and all, but this is really awesome combined with the Ancestral Cry. And in the gameplay, you'll see what I'm talking about. Support gems. Magnified area, we want to make this spread out as much as possible. And then, let's see, prolonged duration. We want those fissures to be on the field as long as possible as we keep stomping around. Fist of War, yeah, I just kind of like to ancestrally boost the first hit when I throw the hammer. It's not really needed. This could probably be switched out with something else. And let's see, we have Comb's Madness, and this is really nice because this makes this fissure spread out everywhere. Even though it's doing less damage, everything's getting hit by these fissures, and this is really nice to have for this particular build. And so if you can get this lineage skill gem, I highly recommend it for this particular build. And then fire penetration, we want that fire to completely burn through everything, so we have that there as well. Moving on, we have Whirling Slash. Now this is kind of my part of my 1-2 combo that I use, and I'll talk about that. It's also a defensive layer. So Whirling Slash is going to give you a blinding effect slow, so we are playing a tanky build, and this just adds another layer of defense when being face to face with a bunch of monsters. Also gives you a little knockback too, so that's really nice for giving yourself some space to breathe. Support gems. I kind of was messing around with this Rigwald's Ferocity. They don't do damage, but I get my speed up there, which is really nice because this attack benefits from attack speed as opposed to straight power. And you need to knock back as much as possible, and you need to be able to get to that third tier of the spin to do as much damage as possible. So we're kind of proccing into skill speed as much with this. Going off in there, rapid attacks. Again, we're just adding another 25% to attack speed. Then we have Defy. We're always going to be surrounded, so we're making sure all of those hits are going to get as much damage done as possible. And then Volcanic Eruption. This is kind of cool because we're hitting everything around us, and in Ancestral mode, we're always doing empowered attacks. Everything's ignited as well. You're going to see a bunch of little molten fireballs pop all over the place when using this in groups or boss fighting or everywhere, and they really add a lot of damage to this basic attack. And then Close Combat, again, we're just up close to everything, so we're getting a little bit more damage done with that. Let's see, so going down to my first persistent buff here, we have Overwhelming Presence. This is going to help with our stun and elemental thresholds. We are stunning a lot. Stunning, to mention, is going to fuel our glory mechanic for Spear of Solaris. So the two things we're doing with this build is igniting and stunning to fuel those two other glory mechanics. So this is huge for that. Stuns easier and ignites easier. So essential, in my opinion, for this particular build. Support gems, just a little bit of life recovered after a kill, that just helps, and mana regeneration while this is active, and it is always active. So this is a mana hungry build. I go through so much mana, and I'm currently probably trying to readjust my build or my skill gems to try to get as much mana regeneration as possible, because when you're spanning that Whirling Slash, it just eats up your mana. So, moving on again, let's see, Resonating Shield. So this is the part 2 of my 1-2 combo. Couple things Resonating Shield is doing. We're breaking armor and we're stunning with this. This also is another layer of defense that we get. So yes, this is really nice. Breaking armor just makes things a little bit easier to kill. It's a must-have. And going down to the support gems, rock smelting, do a little bit more damage here when breaking armor. That's really nice. Armor explosion just helps with proccing fire damage and more ignites. Vanguard 2, getting a little bit of guard based on our stuns is nice to add on as another defensive layer, trying to stack that guard up as much as possible when we're going into the heat of battle. And then armor break, again, let's see, break armor equal to 2% physical damage. Oh yes, this is how we get our endurance charges. Endurance charges is what's going to fuel the length that we stay in Ancestral Cry, the time that we stay in Ancestral Cry. We want to be in this mode as much as possible all the time, so we're utilizing our endurance charges to fuel that mechanic. And then stun 3, again, I get a lot of benefits for stunning with the guard, so on and so forth, so that's nice to have there. Infernal Cry. Infernal Cry is kind of what I use as a combination with everything to spread, ignites, do more fire damage, but most importantly to pop the Forge Hammer Fissure mechanic. And that's kind of what that's there for, more than anything else. Empowering attacks is always really nice. We lean into empowered attacks with this build, and we'll go over that in the skill tree. But support-wise, Fiery Death, ending ignites by this will cause explodes damage. That just helps AoE clear. Wildfire, yep, again, trying to spread as much of that fire around as possible. AoE, Corrupting Cry, did a little bit more damage with this one, and then Searing Flame. I don't know how much Corrupting Cry is really helping. I thought about taking that out, but I just haven't really found anything else I felt was better. And Searing Flame, we're not really hitting with this ability, but we want to increase the magnitude of the ignite that we spread around, so that's really nice for that. Here we go, we're going into our first banner. This is a banner-based build for the most part, and that's why I chose Tactician. We'll go through the passive tree and see where the benefits of that comes from here soon, but we are increasing our attack damage, we are getting healing, and I'll go into how that works here in just a moment. This helps top off my life and everything else, but most importantly, the attack accuracy, speed, and damage is what we're getting from this, and we want this popped up all the time. So we want prolonged duration, we want it out as long as possible. Again, area of effect, we're not really doing any damage, but we want this thing to spread around so we can stay in it as often as possible. Refraction, this helps with the elemental exposure of using my fire skills, so this is kind of nice. And then Dire Strike, 50% increased attack damage while low life while the support skill is active. So yes, low life is another mechanic that I use with this build, and when I go over the gear in a passive tree, you'll see where this comes in. Basically, real quick, I just have that build that takes that belt, that takes, instead of going down to 25% health or whatever it is to be considered low life, you only have to be 75% health. And since we're playing a tanky build, we do fall to that 75% health threshold quite often. So this is really nice to have to up our damage for those kind of things. Moving on. Magma Barrier. This is another endurance charging ability. This also helps ignite. Adds another defensive layer with the block chance, and also explodes fire in all around me. So this is, I just really like this ability, and I never really used it in other builds, but it really shines in this build particularly. Let's see, fire exposure, again, it's just another way to add that extra fire damage. Ignite, I didn't realize I probably need to upgrade that. 100% more flammability. Really, this could probably be switched out with something else, maybe do a little bit more damage, because I'm getting a lot of other flame procs in other places. So I probably will change this out after I'm done with this video. Charge perfusion, we want to again top off as much of the endurance charges as possible. And then magnified area, we want that initial frontal explosion to hit as many enemies as possible. Fire mastery, just to increase the damage that we have and overall effectiveness of this skill. Here we go, the fun one. So when I started this build, this was one of the skills that I wanted to focus on. And if you don't know, let's kind of break it down real quick. Ancestral Cry is a war cry, but it puts you into this kind of berserk mode where you get extra attack damage. Everything becomes ancestrally boosted. Your steps become slams. Your melee attacks or your weapon attacks cause volcanic eruption, and you stay in a empowered mode while this is active. And in my passive tree, I am dumping a lot of points into increasing empowered damage. So it's like war cries, like Infernal Cry, you only get like your first couple attacks depending on how you build into it of extra damage. But in Ancestral Cry, as long as you're in this mode, you're always empowered. And it is really nice, and we're leaning into that for doing a lot of damage. Really, this can only speak for itself in the gameplay. Let's get to the support gems, and we'll talk about it later. Duration, we want to be in this as much as possible, so we're prolonging it. Efficiency, we want to get into this mode as quick as possible, so the cheaper it is, the better. Close combat, we're a tanky character. We're always in everybody's face. Let's do as much damage as possible. Heft, more damage. And heightened charges, so this helps with the prolonging the duration, because every once in a while, 20% chance to, let's say you have 6 endurance charges, which currently only have 4, but when I was going up to 6, I would be in this mode for about 2 minutes when this procced, and that is really nice. The only thing is, as I was moving on, I feel like 2 minutes was overkill. I was building enough endurance charges to get right back into it. I'm igniting enough to get right back into it. So you don't really need to have a full 6 charges to stay in 2 minutes if you don't want to. It is really nice to have, yes, but it's not completely necessary. I think I had to sacrifice the 6 endurance charges to build more into defense. And this, like I said, just works just fine with 4 endurance charges. Proc gives me over a minute or so, and that's as much damage as we're doing with this Ancestral Cry. A minute is more than enough time to kill anything. So, Defiance Banner. This is our defensive banner. What's really nice about this banner is you get movement speed. Now, movement speed is key because we're combining that movement speed with our stomps of Ancestral Cry, and our stomps are proccing Forge Hammer Fissures. So, having the Defiance banner not only gives me extra armor and evasion bonuses, that movement speed helps proc that fissure for more damage, and it is really cool how that works. Prolonged duration, yes, of course, have to have it. Another elemental exposure ability, yes. And then this one, because it's my defensive ability, I probably will get one of these and put it into my other one too, so I can just keep proccing them. But because it's my main defense banner, I like to put this out as much as possible. And then finally, but certainly not least, the most controversial skill that this build has, and it's something I really want to be better. Let me just say right now, GGG really needs to rework this ability in some kind of way. They did make the glory cost cheaper, which is fine, but I've been experimenting with leaning into ignite damage, leaning into the critical aspect of it, and I found a good mix of both of those makes this ability shine better. But compared to everything else that's in the game right now, it really kind of sucks, to be honest. I use this ability not for damage, but as a suppressive measure. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's go through the skill gems here and I'll tell you about it. Less cost, we want to pop it as much as possible. Exposure, we're using this ability to make sure that everything is weak as possible when we're doing all of our fire damage. Persistent ground, this ability leaves an ignited ground for monsters to walk into. That's just another thing to have. Magnified area, making that ground bigger, and then again fire exposure. For this particular build, this works just fine. I can pump more damage out of it, but because it's a stationary skill, monsters end up moving out of it. I tend to try to dance around it when I'm playing. That way, if I can keep the monsters on me, I can keep them in the Spear of Solaris, so that works kind of well. I have taken this ability out several times while leveling, just for much more useful skills. But now that I narrowed everything down to my main rotation here, I put it back in, and it's just fun to have. And I want to keep using it because one day I'm hoping that it's going to get a really good buff, and everybody's going to be like, "Oh man, I should have played Spear of Solaris." So I'm not losing hope of Spear of Solaris. It just needs some work. Okay, so I think that pretty much covers the skill gems and their supports. So let's go ahead and move to the passive tree. How's everybody doing? Everybody doing okay? We're sticking through the video okay? Make sure you give me a like, subscribe to H-Home with Raccoon Prince Gaming. Let's see. Again, I would like to do this more than just part-time, but full-time, and I have the ability to. When my wife gets out of school, I'm going to take an extra day off of work and make this my thing. So as much support as possible, please. Going into the passive tree. Alright, we got a lot to talk about here. I'm going to try to be relatively quick about it. So, I was really conflicted about what ascendancy I should take. Now, real quick, the nature of this build screams Titan, and I should probably lean into Titan. But, this banner, whoever pays best, this is a really key note for this ability. Being able to get 5 glory per second, and there's no limit. I am spamming banners, and as I go through this, I'm going to tell you why this is so good, because it upkeeps my attack, my defense, and keeps me healed. It's too good to ignore, and that's why I decided to settle on Tactician for this particular build. Everything else for this build is completely worthless. Totems, no good. You can't, if I was going to try to do hammer totems, the minute I switch into a spear, they would go away. So initially I kind of wanted to try to increase my ancestral, or my glory buildup. 40% increased glory generation when ancestral warrior totem is out. Thing is though, I'm using a shield and a spear with this build. I don't like to use the hammers. The only time I'm using hammers, I don't really like their abilities. They're just too clunky for me. Everybody seems to be doing a fissure warrior or something, and I just did not want to do that. And so I decided to go up this tree here and make myself as tanky and defense, as possible. The only problem with this, and it's not really too much of a problem now that I figured out how it worked, and it actually worked out pretty well. Excuse me, hiccup. Is that this is really good, but your maximum chance of physical damage you evade gets cut at 50%. So if you have a 75% armor rating, you're going to get knocked down to 50. Now that seems kind of crappy at first, but that defend of 200% armor kicks in, and the accuracy penalty from distant enemies is really nice. Plus we have the benefits from deflection rating with our evasion status here as well. What's nice about this is you can kind of cut down those equipment that gives you super beefy armor or an evasion to kind of put your points or aspects into other things in your armor and your skills. So don't sleep on this. It may seem crappy at first, but I am just as tanky with this as I was when I was at 75% armor and 20% evasion. I probably do take a little bit more spike damage, but because of the other abilities that I have, it's not really a problem. I slept on this, but it allowed me to move things around in a way to make my build more fun. To the fact that I don't have to put everything into resistances and everything into high armor, or, so on and so forth. So I'm gonna go through that here when I go over my what's it called? My character screen here. Just a second. Okay, so going down the tree here, where we are splitting evenly between armor and evasion. They just add 2 layers of defense that I really like in this game, and they work really well. So that's going to be the theme for a defense. Let's start off with this cluster here. Let's see, we have endurance charges. Again, we're keeping endurance charges to upkeep the duration time of Ancestral Cry. I took these over here because of the belt that I have that helps with the low life situation. The minute I fall below 75% health, this procs. And this is really nice, especially when I'm caught not paying attention for a little bit. Same thing as we move down here for these. 120% armor and evasion when on low life. Again, that's 75%. You're getting, I'm already topped off on my armor, so this is just really nice to add to my evasion stat. I can even take off some of my high armor abilities, and this will top me off. So these two, combination with the belt that I have, is a really good defensive layer for tanky characters. Moving on, our first glory generation. This invigorating grandeur is so good. I can be at 25% life, and the minute I pop a banner, again, I'm popping banners left and right with the tactician ascendancy that we talked about earlier. Left and right, banners are popping off. I have replaced potion popping with banner popping with this key node right here. And this is so good. It is a must-have for this ability. For this build, excuse me. And then glory generation, we want to be in everything. I have 4 glory generating skills. So anything that helps keep those up all the time is a good thing. It's a good thing to have. Everything is wonderful here. I kind of have these set to my shield and spear. We're going to be in this mode a lot. So accuracy, dodge roll, movement speed, block defection. This is just all too good. I had to take everything over here. I had no choice. It's defensive. It gives me more attack damage. Just a really, really, really nice tree to have. Up here, we are breaking armor a lot, so we're leaning into some of these nodes as well. 10% fire resistance, increased effect of broken armor, and then also more fire damage with broken armor. Some fire nodes here, but we're not really going to jump into that too much. More glory generation, consuming glory grants you 3% increased attack damage per glory. We are popping glory all the time. So, yes, this is a must-have in my opinion for this particular build. Over here, more full armor breaking perks. I really like this one, Punctured Lung. Fully broken armor cannot regenerate life. Now tell me, how many times have you fought something and its life just like comes right back up, because they have another mechanic that keeps you from staying on them to do as much damage as possible. I like this. It's a must-have. Maimed is great too. It's too good. Plus, we're getting all the extra damage from fully breaking armor. Really nice. Over here, this is what we're going to talk about with our ancestrally boosted attacks. When we, again, are in Ancestral Cry, all of our attacks are considered boosted. So, we want to do more damage. We are stunning rares and uniques and all kinds of things. We are staying in this as much as possible, always getting the benefit from this, as opposed to just popping a roar cry here and there. I needed some strength to match some gear and skill requirements, so that's why that's there. Empowered attacks. Again, we're leaning in more of those empowered attacks. Ancestrally boosted attacks are considered empowered attacks. We are getting damage from this as well while we're in that mode. And then skill duration, we are trying to stay in, trying to keep our banners out as long as possible, trying to keep our fissures on the field as long as possible, and trying to stay in ancestral cry mode as long as possible. Must have node in my opinion. More fire damage coming up here. Who is blowing me up? Jesus. And then, yeah, kind of topping off with some other skills. In my amulet, I put empowered attacks, deal 20% damage, and 10% chance to explode with their life as extra fire damage. So, I could probably take this out for some other things, but honestly, this is just really nice to have, so I'm just sticking with it until I find something better. So, this is kind of the overall look of the passive tree. I think that pretty much gives you the gist of everything here. So, with that said, let's go ahead and go to the equipment. We're going to bring up our character screen, and we're going to bring up... Alright. I didn't clean up from the last time I played. Okay, so before I did not do too much with the equipment because I was still moving things around. I'm going to kind of quickly go through it and talk about my stats here and where they're at. So, let's go ahead and start off with the Shank-On covered batons. So, a guy commented me the other day, and he goes, "That's really cool, but did you try the unique helmet that casts Ignite?" So, I've experimented with those, and I found the boost to be more reliable. Every time you jump and pop off, you're always igniting. Or with the helmet, you have to be in the presence of something for a little bit of time before the Ignite procs. This is instant. If you're looking for a unique that is more reliable for casting Ignite, this is better than the helmet in my opinion, unless you're always going to be in the middle of enemies. There's just too many other benefits to this unique as well, and I really like it with this build. Okay, and then let's talk about the other unique. We talked about the low life situation that I'm in, being a tank, and we tend to fall down to 75% health. And this is going to be proccing all those perks and then some of those support gems that I have equipped as well. This is really nice, and I haven't been able to take it off since I got it. Gloves. With the gloves and armor and everything, we're really just leaning into attack speed and life and our resistances. We really don't need much more than that. Again, I can't get over 50% armor. So I was thinking about looking for a helmet that will maybe lean more into dexterity and try to get that my evasion close to that 50 as possible. My goal is to get these both close to 50, plus with the block chance. That's 3 layers of defense, and that just makes this thing so tanky. It's really nice. And then again with the spear, fire damage plus the melee. We're trying to stay in melee range. We're not doing any projectiles or anything. So we're not really leaning into that kind of damage type. And then the hammer is literally only for proccing the fissures. Now, I need to do some experiment. Like, I was thinking maybe I can go like one-handed mace and a shield in the offhand. But I thought maybe I could just do as much damage with that hammer as possible. You gotta be careful though, because when you switch over to that, you're losing the benefits of the shield as defense. And I've gotten one-shotted in certain content while trying to throw that hammer. That's the only other thing you gotta be kind of cautious about when is just throwing that forge hammer. But yeah, that kind of just busts down. Gear is not the best, obviously, but it is rolling me through T15, T16 maps with little to no struggle. And let's talk about this here. So if you notice that I'm only about 64, 62, 73 cold, 47 chaos. I forgot to mention on the passive tree a node. I just remembered that is also really nice for this build and helps me gear up without having to stress too much about putting things into fire, lightning, cold, so on and so forth. And that is this node right here. Banners also grant 25% to all elemental resistances except for chaos. I pop 2 banners at a time. Let's bring that back up here. Let's bring up my character screen. 64, 62, 73, 47. Pop banner 1. Boom. 89, 87, 98. I can even do 2 of them. I am over capped on all of this. My defenses are almost 36, 34, 50. And that's when I'm standing in Defiance and War Banner. Maxes out my fire, lightning, cold. This is amazing. This is really good. The only problem with this was sometimes you're not always in your banner. Sometimes you gotta move around, so on and so forth. But we can pop our banners damn near all the time, you know. One of the reasons I want to do banners because I do play with people all the time, friends, family, so on and so forth, randos, and it feels really good to be able to go in here and be like, hey, stand in these banners. Now pull up your character sheet and see where your defense is at now. I love this. I love this. While I was leveling, I didn't really have to focus too much on fire, lightning, and cold. I can have whatever in my gear slots. As long as I was staying in my banners, I am always capped out on everything. If I can get my health high enough, then maybe I might take off some of this in my gear, because I need to be able to take the hits before I pop the banners, because like I said, there's times that you just get caught off guard and you're not in it, and then if something hits you with a strong fire attack and you're only at 40% fire resistance, you can get one-shotted, and that has happened while I was playing. Doesn't happen often, but it happens when you're not paying attention. Okay, so I think that is pretty much all that I have. I really enjoyed this build. I have so much fun playing it. I like to throw out these whirlwind slashes and then jump out of it to make it explode. And really, I'm just going to let the gameplay explain everything else rather than just show you here my hideout. Hey, speaking of hideout, how do you like it, by the way? I've had a lot of fun playing with the hideout, knowing that people come to my base now to buy items and stuff. I really enjoy that. So anyways, my name is Achon. Thank you for watching the video. I had so much fun making this build. I do have ideas for other off-meta builds to make in the future, but I just can't pull myself off of this character. I really want to take it through all the in-game stuff that I did not do with the release of Early Access of Path of Exile 2. So I'm going to try to take this guy all the way through it all. Again, I'm still learning a lot of things. There's I still need a lot of help with stuff. I don't know. There's a lot of mechanics in this game that I don't understand, but I'm getting there. And with the help of you guys and everybody else, I've been able to figure it out no problem and have a lot of fun. So anyways, with that said, my name is Achon. Like and subscribe and enjoy the gameplay that I have coming up either at the beginning or end of this video. Thanks again. Achon out.
bones? Not yet. Need more time. Need a sec. Out of mana. Need more time. Need more time.